welcome you all for today's Excel class. Today we'll discuss part 2, that is securing IoT with respect to data and the management for IoT. As IoT brings more and more systems together under the umbrella of network connectivity, so the meaning of the statement is whatever the data we collect, we have to transfer data from one node to another node. In order to transfer, we want a network connectivity. When you are speaking with the concept of network connectivity, under the umbrella of network connectivity, we have a concept of securing IoT, means the securing the data which is there in the network. So, a system that power our world to the lights that couldn't flow of traffic in a city, to the system that keeps airplanes flying in organized and efficient way, securing the network in order to provide efficient data and transfer the data properly. And also, security is among the very few. It's not only the technology discipline that must operate well external forces continually working against desired outcomes. And that is what the specialty of security, where you have to give secure for a data in such a way that you should not think about any hackers or any attackers in between your source node and destination node. Security in the OT world means operational technology world also addresses a wide scope that in IT world. So the safety is nothing but a security. It is for the reasons. So this chapter is completely focused on core principles of securing OT environment. So this is completely focused on core security on OT. So OT in the sense operational technology. Next we will see the brief history of OT security, that is operational technology security. So before going to this complete history of an operational technology, we'll see a basic examples, or we'll see the real-time examples which had happened which had happened in the issue of security. That one example of a reported incidents where physical damage was caused by a security attack, that is cyber security attack, is that Stunext malware. So what they did is they damaged uranium enrichment system in Iran. So by hacking it, they have damaged it. So that is a huge loss happened. So that is what happened from attackers. Another example is an event that damaged furnace in German smelter. So in both incidents, multiple steps lead to the undesirable outcomes. So the meaning of this is when you are using old kind of network, when you are not using any security kind of things, automatically it may lead to misuse by any other X or Y person which is not aware of which are not the part of our data. Many of the security policies and mitigate procedures that were in the place went unheeded. That time, security policies and many other procedures were barred, and they went for attacking this next malware. And again, one more example is with the German smelter. So next, historically, attacks were the skilled individuals. Anyway, if we are speaking about an attackers, definitely attackers will be a skilled individuals where they have deep knowledge and technology of the system, what they are using and what they want to attack. So on what they want to attack, they'll start learning, they'll develop their own skills, and they'll take deep knowledge in that area in order to overcome that what is that network. However, as the technology has advanced, tools have been created and makes attacker much easier to carry out. And now anyway, technology is boosting, advanced technologies have been come, so even got many other tools to crack our data. So that is how the attackers getting their own skill in order to attack to a particular data. And further complications matter that tools have become more broadly available. Again, it become broadly available because internet, anybody can use internet, they can fetch the data, they can get the resource, they can get the knowledge, they can go in deep to develop their own knowledge in that area, and they can do any kind of misuse with respect to data when security is not proper in our network. So this is a general graph where ICR reported vulnerabilities. So this is just it gives a statistics of vulnerability. That is what the industrial control system since 2010. So this is of again US industrial control system with respect to a cyber emergency, where you can see the drastical increase with respect to 2010 to 2015. There is a drastical increase. So the meaning of increasing is that much of attackers are there for the data. So you have to concentrate on security as well. After seeing this kind of a graph, we'll come to know that security is a major concern in data transfer in any network. So next, we'll see a common challenges in operational technology security. So the security challenges is faced in IoT are by no means new and are not limited to a specific industrial environment. It depends. It is not just limited to only this kind of industry or only that kind of industry. No, anywhere you can get this attack. In that first one is erosion of network architecture. So in this we have two major challenges. First challenge is how we are going to design it. That is what initial design. And the second one is ongoing maintenance. After designing a network, it is not that it has been very safe. You have to maintain, you have to undergo maintenance in every phases. Every day you have to go maintenance, you have to cross check the network, you have to cross check the router, you have to cross check the switches, and all the parts which has been packet is flowing in from one port to another port. Everything you have to maintain. So this is how erosion of network architecture. These are the two challenges in your erosion of network architecture. Coming to that initial design, this is a challenge across the concept. How we are going to design a network? You have to design in a such a way that that be very safe due to the physical separation from the enterprise with minimal or no connectivity tools. So sometimes it may be a connective kind of network, sometimes it may be a connectionless kind of network. So first you have to understand, or first you have to neatly design, or first you have to get the concept how exactly network has been designed or initialized in a safety manner to the outside world. So anyway, we are going to create network to the outside world, and assumptions are like attackers lack sufficient knowledge, and assumptions like anyway attacker will not come to know this kind of knowledge or this kind of technology. So that is a new technology. Anyway, this is new technology we are using in our network. Anyway, attacker will not come to know about this technology. That is what our assumption when we are creating a network and releasing to an outside environment. So next, there is uncontrolled or poorly controlled operational technology networks have many cases. Uncontrolled or poorly controlled means there is no kind of that much security firewalls or a security barriers. So that kind of networks. So it may be a weak or inadequate network on system security. In many industries, the control system consists of a package that splits up components that are self-contained and may be integrated as a semi-autonomous portions of the network. So sometimes we call it as like a package, sometimes we'll give array components, sometimes components may fail. Many other problems will come in our network. That is what we call it as a control system consists of. So these are all the things which is to be controlled. We have something called control system where all the nodes, all the packets has to be flown through the control system. So these packages may not be fully or tightly integrated into your overall control system, just a network management tool or a security applications were resulting in potential risk. So if there is any risk, that should be notified to the administrator or a developer. So next step. So in common challenges in IoT security, we'll see pervasive legacy system. So the meaning of the pervasive legacy system is a life cycle of an equipment. So due to the static in nature or a long life cycle equipment in the industrial environment, this is required. So that is what the requirement of a real world. That is what a deemed legacy system will think of. For example, in the power utility environment, it is not uncommon to have a rack of old mechanical equipments. So we are not going to keep that old mechanical equipment that is still operating alongside modern intelligence, that is LEDs or IEDs and so on. From a security perspective, this is potentially dangerous as many devices have historical vulnerabilities or a weakness. We are using the same old kind of technology or old kind of network. Again, there is a lot of weakness in that network. So it has to be patched or updated. That is how we call it as a new updations to the existing operating system or existing file. For example, let me take a small example with respect to this patch and update. Anyway, we are going to use a smartphone. That smartphone operating system will be there. We call it as an Android operating system. For every 6 months or every 3 months, or whenever the problem comes, automatically you will get a something called update is available for your operating system. Why that update is available? In order to increase the performance, or in order to increase the security issues, or in order to increase any other feature with respect to your mobile phone or operating system, you want to add it. So the meaning of patch and update is, so you're not uninstalling operating system or you're not reinstalling it, you're just adding a one more file to the existing operating system. That is what the patch or update is. Why? Because we can't remove the network and we can't recreate the network. Whatever the network we have, we are going to add extra features to that existing network. That is what we call it as patch and update. So that is nothing but a patch. That is what we do for a old kind of equipment. Next, the communication methods and protocols may be generates old and must be interoperate with the oldest operating entity in the communication paths. If you are using a old kind of generating network, again, oldest operating system only works and it takes the old communication part itself. Again, this includes switch, router, firewall, wireless access point, server, remote, and many other networking components. All of this may be exploitable vulnerable and must be protected. Exactly, we have to protect in all the cases. Switches has to get protected, routers has to get protected, firewall should be updated. Again, wireless access points, you have to concentrate on port numbers, server, remote access, many more. Next, we'll see insecure operational protocols. So in industry protocols such as supervisory control and data acquisition, we call it as SCADA, is an older variety that suffers from common security issues. This is what a older version they are going to, where they have used it, and this is again common. This is suffer commonly from security issues. Why this will suffer from lack of security issues is there is no frequent lack of authentication between endpoints is not there, no means of securing and protecting, and again insufficient granularity of control. This is what the specific recipient to avoid the default broadcast approach. So in order to overcome that, we are going to deal with the different protocols. So in that insecure operational protocols, first one is Modbus. See, Modbus is a commonly found in many industries such as utilities and manufacturing environment that has been multiple variety. For example, TCP or IP. Here we speak about a connection-oriented kind of thing where it has been established to transfer data from one node to another node. Either TCP by using IP you're going to get connected, and it is a serial connection also. And it was created by the first programmable logic controller, we call it as a PLC vendor, that is what Modicon, and it has been used since 1970s, where a network had established that time they are using Modbus protocol to transfer the data. This is a very old kind of protocol. This is one of the most widely used in industrial development, and it has been developed in the government of Modbus organization. This has been used in 1970s. So in that, authentication of communication endpoints was not default operation. So now whatever you do, you have to pair your device. But that time there is no kind of authentication of communicating endpoints because that time using the internet is a huge cost. So only research people or only few people were using. So that time there are no concentrate about security, and it sends improper commands to the recipient. So some older and serial-based versions of Modbus via you can communicate via broadcast also. So the ability to corrupt that broadcast function does not exist in some versions. Many versions are there, but only in some versions broadcast functions will be supported, and in some it will be not supported. So next, validation of Modbus message content is also not performed by initiating any application. So rather than it depends on a network stack where the network stack will take care, and this could open up the potential for protocol abuse in the system. So this is all about your Modbus. So in order to overcome the problem of Modbus, we went to one more protocol, that is Distributed Network Protocol 3. 3 stands for a version. So DNS, in the name itself says Distributed Network Protocol, where multiple deployment scenarios and industries have started using this DNP rather than Modbus. So it is common utility that is also found in a discrete and continuous process like ICS, SCADA protocol, and in order to initiate the serial communication between controllers and simple IADs. So the missing security element with respect to the established trust that has been activated, that has been started in by using DNP3 to trust the variety of information being presented. So this is a kind of security flaws presented by grantees of ARP messages, and which has been addressed by dynamic ARP inspection in modern Ethernet switches. So here you have to go with something called establishing trust, that is what authentication at the endpoints. But in Modbus, there is no point of authentication. But in DNP3, there is a concept of established trust. So next we'll see one more protocol. So these are all the protocols which has been used to overcome the problems of one of the other. So here ICCP, that is Inter Control Center of Communication Protocol. This is a common control protocol in utilities across North America. So this is being used across North America, frequently used to communicate between utilities, between two devices. So given that the boundaries between different networks, so this must, you have to understand, this ICCP traverse the boundaries between different networks, and it holds extra level of exposure and risk. So in order to expose utility to cyber attacks, so this will travel throughout the boundary of your network, and it will holds the extra level of exposure and risk. So this is the advantage, or this is the uh, plus point with respect to that inter control center communication protocol, that is with respect to cyber attack. So initial version of this ICCP had several significant gaps in the area of security. So initially there were several gaps, but later the system did not require authentication. One that is one key vulnerability with respect to communication, and the second we have something called encryption across the protocol. Here they started the concept of encryption. So encryption is nothing but converting a original image to a converted image. I mean plain text to ciphertext using some or other method. So this been started by using this ICCP protocol, where user or where actor, if actor acts the message, so he has to feel some difficulty to get the original data. Directly he should not get the data. So anyway, in destination also, the user has to decrypt the data in order to get the original data. That is what the standard of encryption we made with respect to this ICCP protocol in order to expose the connection of man in the middle attack or a reply. Next, we'll see OPC. So here OPC stands for OLE for process control. So the meaning of OL is object linking and embedding. So this is based on Microsoft interoperability methodology, object linking and embedding. That is what OLE, object linking and embedding. This is an example of IT standard where within IT domain they are going to use this OPC. This has been leveraged to use a control protocol across industrial network. This is IT industrial network. So coming to this industrial network, again OPC is limited to operate at higher levels. Only at the higher levels they were using in that time. And again with the dependency of Windows-based platform, it depends on the version we are going to use. We are using operating system, that is what Windows. It concern around OPC begins with operating system on which it operates. Definitely, this protocol depends on operating system which we are using. Many of the Windows devices in the operational space are old, not fully patched, are at risk due to plethora of well-known vulnerabilities. So your Windows is old, you have to update it, you have to add extra patch, you have to add some security concern with respect to operating system, then you have to go with this kind of protocol, that is OPC protocol. So this is being used by a company at higher levels. Particular concern with OPC is that dependency on remote procedural call, we call it as RPC, where it creates a two classes of explosion. So the first requires understanding vulnerability across RPCs, and second, level of risk. So that is the two major requirement with respect to this dependency of RPC. First, we have to understand clearly what kind of risk may come. Second, what is the level of risk? So next we'll see insecure operational protocols. So in that International Electrical Communication Commission, that is IEC protocol. So this IEC protocol is 61850 is a number, I mean standard, were created allow vendor agnostic engineering for a power utility system, which would in turn allow interoperability between vendor and standard communication. So this is what the plus of this IEC, where it interoperates between communication between vendor and standardized communication protocol. So three message steps were initially defined in this. One is MMS, manufacturing message specification. Next GOOSE, GOOSE, that is generic object oriented substantial event, and SV, sampled values. First, we'll see MMS. So MMS, we already know that in basic phone also we have started transferring MMS where it contains both audio and video. It's a kind of a data that should be transferred, not to transfer this kind of MMS, I mean data from one mobile to another mobile. We want some network, we want some different protocols in that, where we are using TCP or IP and it operates at layer 3. And it provides a functionality of SCDA protocols such as that is IEC 60870 and Modbus. It provides the same functions like IEC and Modbus provides. Next, we'll go with GOOSE, that is what layer 2 protocol. It provides via multicast and Ethernet. So it allows IDs to exchange horizontally. IDs in the sense where IP address, you can think it as an IP address where with the help of IP address only the system will get communicate, where in order to transfer a message from one device to another device, you have to get authenticated. You have to share your IDs between a bias. So that is what we GOOSE expects. So it is nothing but especially for interlocking, measurement and tracing signals, where it maintains a log how much data has been transferred and how much data has been received. Next, we'll see SV. SV is a layer 2 protocol that operates via multicast again, as like over Ethernet. It carries voltage and current samples. So what exactly you are supplying. So this process is built flow over the station bus. But both GOOSE and SV operate via publisher or a subscriber mode, where no reliability mechanism to ensure data has been received. So both will work on a same platform that is publisher or subscriber model. Next, we'll move on to a next topic, that is formal risk analysis structure. So here the two frameworks are there in order to understand risk. Why we want to understand risk? So whenever you are speaking about a network, whenever you are transferring a data from one node to another node, so you have to concentrate on the risk level factor also. If the data is active, what is the level of risk we may get? If the data is very important with respect to our bank account, again there is a huge risk. If the data is with respect to our body temperature, we will not consider that is a huge risk compared to our bank account. That is what we have to analyze, or we have to see the level of risk we may get once data is being lost. Here we have two frameworks. One is Octave and one more is FAIR. Coming to Octave, operationally critical threat assessed and vulnerability evaluation from the Software Engineering Institute at Carnegie Mellon University. And next framework is FEIR, that is Factor Analysis of Informational Risk, that is from Open Group. First, we'll see Octave. This Octave has undergone with multiple iterations. The meaning of iterations is different levels will be there, so it has to go through with different levels. And the version of Octave Allegro focused on lightweight and less burdensome process that's been implemented. And Allegro assumes that it's a robust security team. It's a standby, or immediately it is being ready to initiate the comprehensive security, and it is quite appropriate and security focused on human assets. So next we'll see the diagram of Octave where Allegro steps and phases. We have different steps or different phases. First, we have to establish the drivers. Next, we have to profile assets. And third, we have to identify threats. And finally, we have to identify and manage, mitigate risk. Coming to this established risk, we'll see step by step. So in first step, Octave Allegro method, there is a concept of establish a risk measurement, where it provides a fairly simple, it means of doing this with simple impact, value, measurement. A prioritization that can be taken place based on the risk factor that we have to take on the data. And second, we're going to information asset profile, where this profile is populated with assets, prioritization of assets, attributes, like including owner, custodians, people, explicit security, and many more. So within this asset profile, process of multiple substages that completes the definition of assets. So we are going in deep to analyze. So first we are going to with risk measurement. Second, we are going with information asset profile. So third one, we are going to with something called judgment-based attributes such as prioritization. Rather than simply assigning an attribute ranking to the system, first we have to justify it. First we have to just do the justification of the prioritization based on understanding the asset attribute. Particularly, a technical components, threat mitigation methods are being applied to understand the attribute very properly and to justify it. So this level of security investment can be aligned with the industrial asset or individual asset. So next, the third step is to identify the information asset container. So here, the range of transport and the possible locations where the information might reside, we have to understand. So this references the compute elements and the network by which they communicate. However, it can also mean physical manifestations such as hard copy document, or even people who know the information being the information asset containers. Where exactly the information is there, we call it as information asset containers. We have to give security to those kind of people also. So next, the fourth step is to identify areas of concern like data flow, touch, attribute, mapping from one system to another system, security-based focus, and many other. The risk profile and develop in order to increase our areas of concern in the network. Next, closely related to fifth step, we have something called threat scenarios and identified. So here the broadly identifier as potential undesirable events, where the definition means that it results both malvento and accidental causes of variable threats in the context of operational focus. This is a valuable consideration where we have to see the scenarios at what particular time threat has been occur in our network, and it has been identified based on the scenario. Next, the sixth step is risk are identified. Here we have to identify the risk, possibility of understand outcome, and how extend the organization is impacted. And for a more focused analysis, we have to go with potential impact of organization that could be done boundaries of the operation. We have to be analyzed outside the boundary also, what kind of risk we have to take from the data. And the seventh step is risk analysis with respect to qualitative evaluation of the impact. You have to do the qualitative evaluation. What is the level of risk taking? So that is what your risk measurement. First step or explicitly brought it to the process. Next, finally, after doing that, mitigate is applied. There is three output or decisions which taken in this stage. What is kind of risk, do nothing and document, potential outcome, reason for accessing the risk. And the second is mitigate the risk, whatever the control effort is required. So this is all with respect to Octave. Next, we'll see that in the second framework, and that is what risk analysis structure. So that is with respect to FEIR, that is a factor analysis of information risk. This is a technical standard of risk where the open group is being generated, and this information security is focused on Octave FAIR as being clear applications within OT. Like Octave, it is allows a non-malicious actors as a potential cause for harm, but it goes gather length and emphasizes the point. So FAIR places emphasis on both unambiguous definitions and the ideas that risk, and it associates with attributes and measures also. So the meaning of measurable and quantifiable metrics are like a key area that emphasizes itself when the operational world is riches and often data. At its base, a fairest definition of risk, that is probability, frequency, and the probable magnitude of loss may occur for the data. So loss in the sense, even a frequency is a result, threat agent, and it happens for a frequency like threat event frequency, we call it as a TEF, which is specified time windows become probability. Again, multiple sub attributes. This is defined by frequency of events, and it has been a measurable metric. It has been understood that it's a measurable metric. And threat event frequencies are applied to a vulnerability to compute asset weakness in order to target asset. So other side is risk taxonomy and also probable of loss magnitude, which is being quantify the impacts. So next, the FAIR defines six forms of loss. Four of them are externally focused and two of them are initially internally focused. So the value of operation terms are productivity and replacement loss. So it is what responsive loss is also a responsible measure. Finally, competitive advantage and the reputation of the least measurable. So next we'll see the concept of secured network infrastructure and assets. As a first step, we need to analyze and secure the basic network design. It is a most automated process system where hierarchy of energy distribution are being taken care. There is high degree of correlation has to be done. So this is a basic telnet where the versions are like ISA 99 and IEC 62433. The 62443, that function should be segmented into zones. That is what different cells we call it as, where every cell is responsible of communicating data, and every cell takes its own individual responsibility in order to transfer data from one point to another point in any given network. That is what the zones are being created. Based on that zones, cells will be activated, and it has been taken a complete control how to transfer the data. That is what the concept of conditions. We are going to see the security between levels and zones in the process of hierarchical model. So this diagram says a hierarchical model with respect to a process control. So there are different levels from level 0 to level 5, where every level has its own importance for the data transfer. First, level 0, it starts with the process. And in level 1, it goes with the basic control, like noise will be reduced, it has to be transferred to the higher level. Next, layer 2, level 2, area control, how exactly the control has to be taken care. Here, in order to control, we are using something called IEC 62443 to some kind of other version protocols we are using in order to control the data. That is again zone A and zone B. Different cells are being created. Going to level 3, it's an operates and control. It starts with the process. It is what the operations that started. So again, it starts operating. Finally, it sends to a DM set. That is what is a demilitarized zone. So that is zone terminal service where the data will be transported to enterprise or the market. So before that, again, you have to go with the side business planning. That is what a logistics network. We have to concentrate on logistics also. Finally, it will go with a zone remote or a contractor in order to release the data. So this is all the different phases which is there in securing. It is not like one phase or two phase. Many other levels are there. So you have to concentrate on every level in order to give complete security for your data. If you miss anywhere, obviously attacker will come to you and attacker will attack the data without your knowledge. So next we'll see the normal network discovery process that may be highly probabilistic. So that the older network again the risk is high. In fact, the discovery process, it improves safety, security, operational state that can result degradation of all three. Given that the network discovery process may require a manual inspection of the physical connection, again aggregate point and working all the way down to the last access layer. So this is the discovery activity where with respect to wireless access point. So this is all about our secure network infrastructure and assets, where this securing IoT deals completely with an operating technology in the field of Internet of Things, where once data is generated, after data is generated from any sensor at the any end point, the data has been processed, and that data been saved in database. So in order to transfer data, we want network. When you are dealing with network, again security plays a major role there. So these are all the different activities that we are going to take in the place of security in order to give a very secure to other data which is being transferred from one node to another node. So this is all about securing IoT.